All right, good afternoon, traders. How we doing? How we living?
I've had better days. Hey, Derrick.
I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer and member of FINRA. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure. So I'm back in Path. I started positions in VAL and BORR. For my buddy Stefan, who really likes both those names right now from a value perspective. I kept some RGTI short that I traded all day today. It's a good one. And I kept some Tesla short. It's a pretty small position, and I only started shorting it at the very, very end of the day there. But it's a small position. If they gap it up tomorrow, which is looking likely, at least in this moment, I'll be comfortable in shorting more at a higher price. If they gap it down, which they probably won't, but maybe they will, then at least I've got a little bit. But Tesla's starting to seem like it's starting to get to that point again, but it also feels like it's kind of a day early to short still, in my opinion. But we'll circle back on that one and start with the indexes, starting with the market. All right. So we had a big upside day today off the CPI, off the backs of the CPI. We're down real small here after hours, but the SPY, including the after hours action, is up 0.72%. The Qs are up 1.7%. Big day for the Qs. The IWM's a laggard. It's up 0.5%. So with the TLT down, so interest rates higher. And the dollar up. So makes sense. Makes sense to see some weakness in the IWM versus the Qs off that move. CPI came out today and it was exactly in line. We had discussed that an inline CPI is probably a situation where you move up. And that's exactly what happened. Inline or a very close beat or miss, I felt, would be a situation where we move higher. And that's what happened. And I especially felt that way after the 2-day pullback. So we got this 2-day pullback, unwinded, I think, a little bit of the positioning that had been so stretched in some of those momentum names. We had seen that Goldman note that 2 trading sessions ago was like the worst down day for their momentum basket in 2 years. Keep in mind where it's coming from, but the worst momentum downside day for their momentum basket. I just said momentum too many times. In 2 years. So we had that. We had a further washout yesterday, but like we said in yesterday's afternoon meeting, all this is a little bit of a pullback into this equilibrium zone, a very healthy pullback with room to potentially pull back more. We could have gotten a retest of this 400, but we had a nice little potential pivot low yesterday, and then off the backs of CPI, we worked our way up. So this is starting to look like yesterday's low is the pivot low, as shallow as it was, of our uptrend. So now we just got to see if new highs come in. We couldn't get to new highs today. It was a strong day, but no new highs. But we're pretty close to them. So that'd be the next spot to pay attention to on the upside is all-time highs for the SPYs, which is about $609. And then you want to pay attention to yesterday's low. Really, yesterday's low and today's low, the starting point of the CPI is something we always want to pay attention to whenever there's an economic number. But the 830 low today, yesterday's low, those are key downside spots. But honestly, even if the SPYs were to break yesterday's low at some point, it's still not the end of the world. It just means we're getting a little bit bigger of a time price correction after we pushed up by so much. The Qs, with that relative strength, though, wow. They had pulled back to the 80 MA yesterday as well. So, trying to remember which day it was. I think it was on December 4th into the very afternoon session. We had just barely clipped extreme extension. I did a cute little short. You barely see a pullback on that next day, but it was enough for me because I keep talking about how a lot of my shorts are having very shallow price targets because the broader picture of this market is so bullish, it's so strong. I am taking my extension shorts, but I'm tending to take them not aggressively with shallow targets. So we had hit extreme extension barely, put a little bit of a short on, was out by the next day. We consolidated through time for 4 trading sessions. Now off the CPI, off the 80 MA, we broke to new all-time highs for the NASDAQ And then the IWM is still a little bit troublesome, struggling to pick its head back up. We never got the rotation back to the Russell when the Qs took their break. When the Qs took their break, everything continued to take a break. So this IWM chart's a little bit sloppy. We had mentioned that, you know, the pullback to the area that happened to be yesterday's low was also fine. So the market for the Russell doesn't look broken by any means, but there's still some issues here with some relative weakness. You want to see the Russell get back above 240.50, I think, to start looking healthy again. So overall, the market is looking good. The market's looking good. We're looking strong, and we'll see if we get that further upside continuation off the pivot low in the SPYs and the Qs. So it's kind of the big picture on the market. As far as individual stocks go, I'll start with Tesla. You know, Tesla's starting to really go parabolic here to the upside. Big breakout through this 360. And I just want to remind everyone, this is the long. This is the long. So this is the long here. This through 360. This here is the long. That's the trade. The setup was there. We talked about that setup. The risk on that, by the way, 50 cents risk through 360 off the open that day. 50 cents risk. And this is why I'm a believer in swing trading. You bought that breakout at 360 for 50 cents risk. You can easily still be in at $426 where it's trading after hours right now. You can make, even if you're, you know, I know it's a little bit of an expensive stock, so it could be a little bit tricky for even newer, smaller traders, but 50 cents risk in Tesla, even a newer trader could have taken that trade. Even a small account trader could take that trade, and you could, at this point, be $66 in the money on your position. That's the type of stuff that makes your month. That's the type of stuff that makes your year. So we want to be in those setups. We want to get the follow through on them, and we want to put ourselves in the position to crush it. And now at this point, though, again, I think a couple trading sessions ago, we did a cute little day trade short off that 400 area, that lower high, but that was just a day trade. But overall now, we are in 3, 4. This is like day 5 to the upside. I know the one day was a little bit of a corrective rest day. But now we're at day 5 to the upside. You know, right now it's trading at 426 with the ADMA at 486. So this thing's starting to get cooked a little bit again to that upside, where I'm beginning to want to look like Christmas. I mean, look for the other side. So we'll see. Like I said, I shorted a little bit into the close. Actually shorted a little bit more after hours in front of that 426. But you know, it's just a starter position for me. If it does break down lower from here, great. I've got some stock. I'll make some money in it. But I wouldn't be. It kind of feels like this needs one more move higher here. The ideal situation would be if that move happened via gap. And that's been a trade that's happened a lot in these last couple months, where you're into that day 5 or whatever it is, and you're getting really extended, and then you get the gap up. And those have been some of the best shorts of the year, whether it was that MSTR pattern, or I know I was hurting in the Palantir pattern by the time it finally happened, but that Palantir gap up when that happened was another phenomenal trade. There's been a lot of them on you know, some of these crappier small cap-ish type of companies that just always type up this UMAC is one that I remember, because this was also like a big day 4 gap up to like $23, $24, and we shorted that one and did really well. That's been a pattern that's been paying. So the bigger, better, easier money, long Tesla through 360, without a doubt. But there's been a lot of opportunity when you start to get silly in the parabolic move on the upside to make money short as well. So we will, see what happens with the Tesla gap tomorrow. So that's one that is certainly on my radar. What was that other one that I was trading today? Or did I forget? Oh, RGTI. Cloud computing stuff here is also getting a little bit crazy. This RGTI, I started shorting it above $8 pre-market this morning with a target of 6. Again, which is a little bit shallow. Could be greedy. Look for a move all the way back to the ADMA. Went perfectly down to that $6. Is a great trade. I did start reshorting some again in the afternoon as it worked its way back up, and I am swinging some just because there's a lot of extension here, and the stock is a little bit crazy. So it's RGTI. Intraday today, I did a little bit of shorting of Apple, Amazon, and Google. The Apple one worked best. Same deal. These are really just meant to be kind of extension day trades with where they were getting to on the daily chart with how the Qs were trading at the same time. So I was able to make a few bucks in pretty much all three of those, though that rip in Google into the close. I didn't close that position out until the close. It gave back a lot of the open P&L that I actually had in that thing. Sell H I lost money in today. That's my second worst name on the day, worst day trade of the day. I really liked the pattern. I liked the inside and up off this base to see if we get continuation. It's a shame that it couldn't even perform as well as the market did, because that would have been all we needed in order to get this market in order to get the stock to move higher, even if just perform the market. But it failed. Tried to give you that inside and up off that base. Failed. Traded poorly. I closed out the position for a loss. Didn't keep any. And then not for everybody. It's a little bit of a bigger picture trade for me, but I got into some of this VAL today. My buddy Stefan, who sometimes has what seems like wild calls on his fundamental price targets, has an interesting habit of actually eventually being right on them. So he is looking for a move to 250 in this VAL. For me personally, I'm looking to see if I can get a move to like 65-ish, I think is a good initial target. This resistance of this gap up here from August. So I got involved in this one. It's definitely going to be a bigger picture trade. I'll build into it more on the way down. I'll sell my position a little bit on the way up as it works its way up. And he also got me involved in this BORR, which he thinks can work its way back to this like $8 area that it had been at previously. There's a lot of resistance up at like $7.30 to $8. So I jumped in those a little bit. They're tougher trades. They're still kind of in downtrends. What I liked about this VAL technically is not just that he likes it, but I like that you can look at his pattern as almost similar to what we've been talking about a lot with the 45-degree angle uptrends that break up, and then that actually leads to the failure. You can see here with this VAL, it's been on a 45-degree angle downtrend for a few months since August, and that actually broke to the downside just a few trading sessions ago and then snapped right back up into its range. So I started buying some here today. I like that did that, but now it obviously needs to truly break up out of the channel after the false breakdown. From a failed move can sometimes lead to a fast move. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that kind of covers all my position updates and my focus today. Oh, I didn't talk about this TEM. So I'm in this TEM. I'm swinging it. I'm looking for a move back to like $48. They sold it down into the secondary. So not secondary, into the lockup expiration. So this thing, just a handful of trading sessions ago, was trading at $69. There's support down here in these low 40s. So they sold it from 69 down to 40 into the lockup expiration, which was today. I've seen, and I'm not super familiar with this company, but I've just seen it happen a lot of times over the course of my career where back in the day, the stock would get sold on the lockup expiration. That makes logical sense, right? All of a sudden the insiders can sell their stock, so that day is a big sell-off day. And then at some point years back, it started to change where I would start to see a lot that they would actually sell stocks down into the expiration day, and then not only do they not sell off on the day of the lockup expiration, but they actually get bought back a little bit at that point. So that was the thought process. Looked at a stock that was super extended to the downside into some support that is on the day of the lockup expiration. I said, hey, I'm gonna get involved in this. I'm gonna take a stab at this to see if I can get a bounce back. I think that so my target's 48, but if the ADMA gets below 48, I'm gonna manage it just to the ADMA. I think that after a move from 69 down to 40 to get a little bit of a bounce back to $47.50, $48 is very, very reasonable. So that's what I'm looking for there. I took a lot of size on this today. Ended up positive in it, even though it only kind of closed where I initially started buying it today. And I still have I probably took off throughout the trading session a little bit less than half of what I had at my maximum when it was down near $40 into this up move, but I still have a very large position to see if I can get another $4 or $5 of upside here. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I've got. I don't have a ton of time today, but I'm happy to answer any questions. So not seeing anything in the VTF for the moment. Popping over to the YouTube from Daddy Trades. I got long TEM shares and hopped in on calls on AMD. Huh. All right. Yep. I just talked about that one. TM unlocked today, and I think she bottomed out on today's flush out after 8 red days in a row. Recent analyst price targets are in the 70s as well. Yep. So that's the exact same trade that I'm in with size. So.
Does anybody see a note on Tesla, like a downgrade?
Good luck to us.
After the close.
I just covered a little bit of Tesla too, but it's just working back towards where it closed.
It seems like someone might have just come out with a note. I'm just looking around for it. If anybody sees one, please post it.
Nice, good stuff. Anybody else have anything for today? Otherwise, if I can do a quick one, it'd be great. Just got a couple things I got to take care of. Going once. From you, Vixie Bull. Messed up for the first time today. QQQ 10.5 low. Oh, 1050 low. Got you. The 1050 low got you. Yeah, I mean, what you got to remember, so if you were long the Qs, let's say, and you were trying to trail it, and then you see this pivot come in. So first of all, there's no new high. I always want that new high to come in to utilize that as a pivot low to trail. But secondly, you got to remember come 11 o'clock that the 15-minute time frame is really important. You a lot of times need to correct down to the 15 in order for continuation at that point. And that didn't even give a full 15-minute correction here. That's how strong it was before it eventually, you know, gave that upside continuation. Yeah, Tesla's just been absolutely crushing it. Oh, Telho, raising money? I'm out of my position. Is it moving on that? Ooh, it's down from where I got out. This is $1 million, $7 per share, and a no warrant restricted. We knew that this company was going to need to raise a lot of money. This Telho. That's why I jumped out on that move higher, even though I like the idea behind it. Huh? Yeah. It's the live forever company. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up there. Have a great night. I'll see you all next time.